Right. Jia and Odin, it's great to have you on the podcast today. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm
Good,
great.
good,
Thank you
good.
so much, Odin. Oh, sorry, Adam, not Odin.
No, you're welcome. It's great to have you back on, and it's the first time we've ever done this as a trio, isn't it? And we kind of thought today the topic we can talk about is relationships and attachment, because I think it's a really important topic, and I think we've all kind of got experience in that area as well. Who kind of wants to go first?
Let's go with the ladies. Ladies goes
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Go ahead, Javiria.
I believe that, every relationship is very unique and people come together for many different reasons. So why not talk about that, how to maintain a healthy relationship? Because I think experiencing and talking is very different. When you go into a relationship, and building a healthy relationship is somehow very challenging. So what do you guys say?
Well, according to me, I really believe that speaking of relationship and attachment is a very wide topic that I would really love to share my knowledge and share my own experience through it. And according to me, relationships, I believe that in this world, people are mistaken with love, with friendship, relationships, and all these. Most of the people are growing their own ego relationship, not self relationship. Relationship nowadays are mostly built up on a need or a desire to be fulfilled, and if not, it would fall apart. That's the question people must be wondering. I mean, like, why does it always end up in the same way, with the different scenarios, but throughout the same pattern? So yeah, I would love to discuss that.
But even, when you are in a relationship and you are trying not to repeat those patterns, still somehow those patterns will come in your life.
Absolutely,
but then we are human beings.
Yeah, absolutely. That's because the mind mechanism have been working in a certain pattern. Therefore, it keeps on repeating itself. That's because most of human beings are unconscious to their own mind. Therefore, the mind is programmed in a way that it will keep on repeating it by itself. If you kept yourself unconscious and you're unaware of your behavior, of your relationship with the people, then certainly it wouldn't be blank. It would be based on the previous programmed or previous how the mind have been programmed. It's
and that's, I
different.
guess that's it's because when there's a difference between, when you are being loved and feeling loved.
Absolutely.
So that's how, you're gonna feed your ego.
Yes. Well, love. My definition, if anyone would ask me what's the definition of love is nothing but self-love. That's it.
Definitely.
And the love of the other is nothing but a reflection of self-love. That's it.
So when you fully accept yourself, so you think that you won't repeat patterns?
Of course I would. Therefore we need, but the thing is, that's the hard part. Being aware, being conscious while you're in a relationship. Always make sure that you're aware of your behavior. Keep on looking back at the end of the day. How did you do? How did you act? According to what did you act? Well, the thing is, if you're healed from the inside, you certainly would not repeat the patterns. The thing is that we get into another relationship while we are not healed from the inside. Therefore, most of relationship fails, unfortunately. What do you think, Adam?
Healing is a long-term process.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think it's like you said, like self-love, and I think if we're repeating those patterns and we're kind of unconsciously doing that, and we're not thinking about it, not present with our current moment and what we're doing, I think it's almost like that hamster wheel. We're going to go back to those similar relationships. We're going to go back to similar people, different people, but that's it, like you said, similar
bodies.
Yeah, similar patterns or same issues, if that makes sense. And I think we've all got our own issues, we've all got our own things, but it's like dealing with that and not letting that kind of bringing that into the relationship, if that makes sense. Like if you bring it in there, communicate about it, and I think like you said, it's how we kind of feel within ourselves, isn't it, most of the time. And we sometimes attract certain people based on probably, you know, how we feel about ourselves. And sometimes people are in negative relationships because they may feel a certain way about themselves in a negative way. So then they get with a partner that treats them a certain way that then gives them that kind of belief that they have, if that makes sense. It's almost like a magnet. If people have, that's what I find. And I think, you know, attachment as well. People get that love, and lust, and, you know, actually what love is, they get that mixed up. And people sometimes, from my own experience in the past and seeing it in other people, just jumping into things to have attachment, not wanting to go through being alone and getting to know themselves. So then they just jump into another relationship because they don't want to go through all that negative feelings, if that makes sense. But you kind of have to go through that and get to know yourself, if that makes sense. But there's so much to it, isn't there?
Yeah, the rebound relationships, I don't believe in rebounding relationships, because you too, Adam, you have experience, and Odin also has experience in same as me, that when you don't heal yourself and you go into another relationship, that is going to fuck your life.
I agree. Well, let's go more back. The thing is, why is there a relationship? First of all, that's the question. If you ask a normal person, he would say that I would want someone to look after me. I would want someone to fulfill certain duty. I would love someone to show me some care. I would love someone to show me some love. But the thing is, who said that all those things were supposed to be coming from the outside rather than from the inside? Well, the truth is, whatever is outside is in the inside. I mean, like whatever the inside is in the outside. It cannot be that you're well from the inside and it would be. So the thing is, once you love yourself, once you heal yourself, you wouldn't be requiring any need or desire. Your only focus would be only on growing. And if you're gonna love, well, you're gonna be falling in love, or the true love gonna form with a person who only and only and only has nothing from you except seeing you to grow. Her love to you is only to make you grow, to make you a better version of your own self, and the opposite. So the thing is, in order for us to not form an attachment, we need to make sure that we have nothing from the inside is missing. If you love yourself, you wouldn't be seeking love from the outside. If you care about yourself, you wouldn't be caring for someone to care for you from the outside. If you're looking after yourself, if you're making yourself happy, if you do everything to your own self, you certainly wouldn't be looking for someone to do your own job. Therefore, whenever you're going to be having a relationship, of course, there wouldn't be an attachment, because the relationship is not built on a certain need or a desire, which if it did not fulfill, it would not be broken. You get my point?
But
Yeah, no, I agree.
We do fall back, right?
I'm sorry?
How to maintain? Somehow we do fall back, and we need to maintain through practice.
Yes. The reason that why we fall back is that we unconsciously keep on being busy in the society, in the world that we live at. Somehow we need to always make sure that we're surrounded by the good people. We need to make sure that we always do meditation. We always take care of our own self. Yeah, that's it. I mean, you'll never fall back. You'll never fall back if you're in a good environment, if you always look after your own self, if you always prioritize yourself. It's very hard to fall back, because you certainly wouldn't want to be wounded again, because you have already healed. And the person who's wounded and have healed himself, he is the best one to know how the pain feels. Therefore, the mind would not certainly want to repeat that wound again. But the thing is, you need to be fully aware of how deeply wounded you are. That's the very first process of healing.
I think a lot of it's taking that accountability, isn't it, for where you're at? And I think like raising your standards in some sense. Whereas if you've been with someone in the past and you know that kind of relationship isn't good, you kind of have to raise your standards and not settle for certain things, if that makes sense. And kind of with energy as well, and what you're giving out, and making sure you're getting that back. I think a lot of people, I know, like what Odin was saying, like people sometimes they might not have self-love, they might not practice that, they might not know how to love themselves, and they seek that attachment, and they seek those needs to be filled from the other person, and then you're ultimately drained over time because that other person's just constantly on you, which they might not be giving themselves, if that makes sense. So for some people, I mean, I know that from experience, like sometimes people might not have that healthy balance in themselves, and there's something within them, maybe trauma, or maybe something's happened, which has made them, put them in that place, and they're not okay, and they're not able to give themselves that kind of energy, if that makes sense. They kind of draw it from the other partner, and it's like this scale that's constantly up and down.
Yes.
But then don't you think that we should go with the flow, because sometimes setting healthy boundaries and then thinking about the traumas will make the relationship worse? I mean, sometimes for me as well, I do get confused while going into a relationship that do I need to go with the flow, or because I don't think so that everybody is fully healed. You'll meet and the same repeated things, the same locations will take you back to the old traumas.
Agree. So the thing is, when you get in a relationship with someone who truly loves you, not the ego love, which I'm speaking of, he would certainly want to self-grow. So if he's self-growing, therefore automatically he's gonna reflect his own growth on his own partner. So he'll always make sure it's a two-person, it's a relationship between two people. Their goal is to grow only. So if you're so the thing is, why you get triggered to your own past experience is because the partner is acting on the same way as he have experienced earlier with his or her ex. Therefore, if this happened, we need to always get back and check what's wrong. Because, I mean, I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but love is only self-love. It's nothing but self-love. And whatever to the other person is nothing but a reflection of my own self-love to the other. That's being in a partnership. That's being in a healthy partnership. I don't think that if such a thing happened, well, of course, communication is very important as well. But we need to always make sure that we always communicate in a healthy manner, in a open manner. I mean, like openly. Make sense?
Yeah.
But I don't know, I think my beliefs are changing, that sometimes communication as well, you cannot hurt the other person while communicating each and everything. Or sometimes even Odin and I talk to you about the healthy boundaries as well, and being available, too much available, and you don't believe this.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So the thing,
you say that, setting healthy boundaries and being too much available is sometimes a trash, right?
I agree. But the thing is, so see, if you are in a friendship relationship or in a love relationship, if that person is as well fully aware of himself, he would really understand and know your value. Therefore, he would not take you for granted. Because
but being fully aware won't make you an angel. Sometimes we do fall back. I mean, agree or not, we do fall back.
Agree, absolutely. We are human beings. We're imperfect species.
What do you say, Adam?
I think if you notice yourself kind of repeating old patterns, I think it's almost like you have to kind of check in with yourself, or have other people kind of give you their opinion. I think you kind of recognize it. I mean, from my experience recently, sometimes you can meet people, or you can see them, or you can talk to them, and then especially if it's over time, sometimes you get this kind of feeling, and you have to trust your gut. I think for a lot of it,
exactly.
If there's something in you gut, which is like, don't go for this, or if you ignore that, then I think, you know, everyone's different, but I think if you ignore yourself, you don't feel right. You're not on the same vibe.
Absolutely.
So I think, yeah, we can make the same old decisions, but I think we have to kind of check in with ourselves and ask ourselves, is this going to serve me? Do you know what I mean? You have to be quite accountable and self-disciplined. But, you know, we make mistakes.
Self-trust.
And
Self-trust.
yeah, self-trust. And I mean, sometimes maybe things may work out if we get with someone from the past or whatever, or you know, but I think if you're not getting your needs met and what you're giving out isn't coming back to you, I think that's a red flag straight away.
Absolutely. You're wasting your energy. You need that energy for your own self to grow. And if you're not finding that same energy being exchanged back, it's a fail.
But I think, like you said, like at the start, like a lot of it is literally self-love, and a lot of the people that we attract in our life is based on us, really. Is based on the way that we think, you know, our blueprint, our energy. So it's almost like, you know, a bit like the law of attraction. We're attracting certain people. So a lot of it does start with us, if that makes sense, even though a lot of it might be unconscious.
So it's about self-love and healing, which is a long, you know, it's a long process and a long journey.
Agree.
Until and unless we meet the perfect man. But there is no perfect, right? There is no perfect man. There's no perfect woman. So when's the end? When's the end? When do we have to stop?
Stop. What you mean? It could be. Yeah, go ahead, Adam, please.
When you say stop, like, what do you mean? Like with the right person, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Even you know, when you're with your friends, they'll help you grow. Even you're into intimate relationship, they'll help you grow.
But that's where you find your flame twin. You're gonna find your person. The thing is, I mean, like, he or she gonna come up. You're gonna find them. He or she's there.
Yeah, he's there.
You need to stop looking.
I think it's like I've always said to people, sometimes you have to be in certain relationships, whether that's negative ones or difficult ones, to kind of know what it is that you do want. Sometimes you have to jump through those hurdles to understand what it is that you actually want from a relationship or a person. And I think, like you said, like people, I think, are seeking that perfection, especially in society. People are wanting the perfect person, or quote unquote. And I think, like, people, we all have our own, you know, things going on. I think if we're constantly seeking perfection, then we're never really going to be happy. I think we're going to be.
I believe that 90% of people, they don't know what love is, and they are into a compromised relationship. They're into the materialistic.
Well, it's more than 90%, unfortunately.
Yeah, more than. But I said 90% that I don't want to, you know.
I know, because people so that people don't panic out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So people will be like, so what do you mean? Do you mean that our relationship is bullshit?
Exactly. Well, but they don't think that, you know, it's a two-way street. You can't be a burden on one person.
Absolutely. So the thing is, according to my belief, that love relationship and any kind of relationship should only be based on self-growth.
Exactly.
If there is no growth, if there is no growth, then that's not love. That's an ego, need, and desire or wants.
Yeah. Do you think we pick up on things from our parents or the environment when we're growing up? So if we see, I don't know, if people see their parents in a negative, abusive relationship, do you think that kind of influence people to then get into similar relationships?
Absolutely. So the thing is, your mind is like a magnet, or your mind is like a camera that's always on. You might not be realizing that your mind is programming, is recording whatever is happening. Therefore, your life gonna be based on that own. I mean, like, programmed from your parents, from your home, mostly from the parents, also from the family.
And that is, you know, that comes to the attachment style. What I have seen in myself these days, what I have discovered is that maybe I was not, you know, for me, the attachment style is attention, touching, not the touching in the form of lust, you know, the intimate part, because that's the thing which I lacked when I was a kid, when I was a child in my family. So I think these are the things that affect your relationship. These are the attachment styles. Like for me, I need the quality time. I won't
Agreed.
go for the quantity, I'll go for the quality. And I want the affection, because these things I was missing when I was a child from my family. So these thing affects, that's why, we go into those kind of toxic relationship looking for these things, because maybe we weren't
Yes.
giving those things to ourselves.
Yes. Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. No, it's so true, isn't it? And I think that can definitely influence the way that we're thinking and what we kind of, that desire to, sometimes if you're talking to somebody, and especially if it's new, you're wanting those messages or, trying to have that balance. And I think sometimes if we haven't had certain things in the past, then we kind of are wanting that from the other person. And it's trying to find that fine balance with it.
We were forcing the other person to talk to us. That's what, if I see my past relationships, I was the one forcing myself, okay, now, this is my time, you need to talk to me. I was demanding the love. The other person was not willing to give, and I was demanding it.
Exactly. It's demands. It's a relationship. We all were in a relationship where there was a demands, where the demands were not fulfilled. It failed. That's why, because it was built from the very first place according to a certain need. A certain need is not covered. What's the use of the relationship the mind tells, which is the ego? The ego needs to be alive. In order for the ego to be alive, it needs food. The source of food where the ego gets is through another ego. It just keeps on growing one another. But if one of the egos went up, he did not react. It would stop here and just fly away.
Exactly.
This usually happens. But the thing is,
I love this when you talk about this.
Yeah, when it goes. So the thing is, when the ego reacts in a way, it wants a reaction. Act, reaction, and it keeps on growing. The more it grows, the more you lose yourself. The more you create a third character, which you do not like, which you're uncomfortable. Therefore, you keep on being in the suffering the whole time, your whole life.
So we don't need to react to the other person's situation. That's what you mean. To not feed their ego.
Their ego. But the thing is, you need to know what's ego. What's ego's behavior. Ego's behavior is built on needs, desires. Yeah.
Do you think that's pretty evident in the first couple of months of when you're talking to somebody? Because obviously when you say in a relationship is really great. And then for the first few months, I think sometimes, like I know from my past as well, like, you kind of lose yourself, and then, after a couple of months, things die down a bit, and you can maintain that good time with somebody. But I think sometimes if then that person might be negative deep down, or it might not actually be good, and then their real self kind of shows sometimes, and then you kind of think, oh gosh, you start seeing things. I mean, that's from my experience. And then because your ego has been up in the air and their ego has been up in the air, and then over time you can then kind of start seeing things of the true person, if that makes sense, or what we're saying with
can you
yourself.
Be
and then
bit specific?
Like when you start to really get to know someone, like if you don't, like in relationships, sometimes from my experience, I've rushed in too quick, so I don't actually know the person, and things have happened. Yeah, and then over time you start seeing things in that person, and then you start to clash, and then you've attached to them so quickly. I mean, I've got a very strong attachment, so
exactly.
I have to watch that.
Exactly. So the thing is, over here, let's take this scenario as an example. Over here, you had an expectation, or not an expectation, or it would be more of you were waiting, maybe unconsciously, for a certain behavior or a certain reaction. Well, the thing is, according to my belief, it is a relationship between two different characters. Absolutely, you need to accept it fully, even if that person is shit, but he's shit in a way that would not affect you. And your job over here is to make sure that the shit is no more. But if that person is attached to that certain bad behavior or the shit behavior, then yeah, that's not your problem. Then you need to move on because that's toxic.
But for the first 3 months, I believe that it's a new relationship. We are wearing those rose-filtered glasses, and we want to have that thing forever. But then we forget that it's a long-term relationship. We are creating that image forever. So that's not how it's gonna work.
So that's why.
You need to create excitement in relationships.
And say hi to your dogs.
Yeah, I just tried muting it.
I realized. Yeah. So I believe that if you had no expectation, if you were fully in love with yourself, have no expectation, have nothing, it would not really affect you. I would agree with Jia. I would agree with you that yes, in the very first 3 months, that's why we need to be very much aware of our own self, of our feelings. We need to always make sure, because this 3 months is the very of the beginning of the relationship, is a very critical, is very sensitive. You need to make sure, because according to those beginning months, your relationship gonna be built. So you need to make sure that you're aware of yourself, you examine yourself, you evaluate yourself always, or else you're gonna fall back, as you have said. We are human beings. We tend to drift away by our emotions, by our thoughts, by stress, being busy. All these things that really affect us. That's why we keep on falling back. We do not regulate meditation. We do not take care of our own self within those period. We care more of the other person rather than caring of our own self. And at the same time, because the society goes in a certain pattern, in a certain way, automatically you'll notice that you're as well being drifted on that way, because you're a human being and the people you're surrounded is, the relationship is built in that way. So it's normal for you to fall back. Therefore, you need to always make sure that you're aware of yourself. You do meditation, you look after yourself, no expectation. Always keep on doing checkups on your own self. Are there any wounds? Are there any healing needed? So yeah, that way.
And I think we need to accept, for me now, it's like this, that if you want to come to my life, come. If you want to leave, then leave. Because now I think
that's how it's
all of
supposed
us,
to be.
like you, me, and Adam, we have been to like lots of relationship. And if you want to come, let's entertain both of us. I mean, we too will play, but then if you want to leave, then, because now there is no room to cry. Now there is no room for stress.
Yeah, exactly. It's because the pain was so much.
Exactly.
We don't want to repeat that.
Definitely never.
I mean, like, you would be a fool. You would be really a fool if you did not get the lesson. The lesson gonna keep on being repeated until the lesson is learned.
Usually with the relationships, the hard part is acceptance. When we go through breakups, the acceptance is very, people don't accept, and we want to have that.
Absolutely.
And I read about law of attraction because I want to have my ex back within 3 days. But then I was like, it's better to, I get to know about law of attraction, and I went into other different manifestations. I attracted something different. But now I think those relationships didn't work. It's good for us because we learned, and now we are into this, that we need to accept that it is what it is.
There were only lessons for you to learn. Might sound harsh, but it's all lessons. It was never supposed to be emotion. It's the mind that makes it emotion.
Yeah, definitely.
Therefore, you react. You drift away with your thoughts. Therefore, we need to always separate ourselves from our thoughts. We need to understand that those thoughts are not literally ours, but it's to the mind. That's the very first step. Else is madness.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think like as well, like you can't pour from an empty cup, can you? Like if your supply is drained, and you can't be your efficient best self in that relationship to make that relationship good as well. And I think it's that, like you said, is that you have to be quite self disciplined and quite mindful amongst everything that's happening. That's very difficult, but I mean, you have to check in with yourself, don't you? Especially just to make sure you're kind of getting what you're getting back what you're giving out. And I think and making sure you're happy in it and you're not getting lost in everything that's happening. I think you know relationships. Even if that person isn't meant to be the person you're meant to be with, then you can still learn something from it. And I think it's trying to do that, isn't it? From your past relationship, trying to take from those and learn from them, and then when you go into a new one, you've kind of almost got like a radar almost of what you want or what you don't want, and
Exactly.
following through with that if there's something that you particularly don't like. But we can't project, like I think Odin was saying, people from our past onto the current person, 'cause that's a completely different person, even if we get triggered from similarities from the past, if that makes sense. I think in
Yes.
I would do that sometimes in the past. I would get with somebody and I would get triggered, and I would think, oh, it's the same thing again, but it might not even be the same thing. But and that other person's like,
It's
yeah, but I'm
about,
not your past.
as Odin said, it's about thoughts. And then I believe that it's about choosing the right words. As you said, Adam, right now, that sometimes it's very difficult for us. For me, when I feel that when I say that it's difficult, the thing actually gets difficult and I don't feel like doing it. For me, I choose words very consciously that why not say that I know it's challenging, but we'll go through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because only in challenging situation you can only grow. If you're feeling comfortable, then you need to make sure that the ego is full in control of you.
Yeah, so
You
it's
do not,
about both. You need to choose the words wisely, and then about the thoughts. You need to be the watcher of
yes,
your thoughts, as you say.
absolutely. Always be the watcher of the thoughts, because thoughts can lead you to hell, literally. That's why it's always very important, extremely important, to always regularly have mind checkups, mental checkups. Is very important, because literally your conscious comes out of it. We live
It helps.
in a very, there is too much toxic people around us, too much bad energy being we are being surrounded with.
And
So
it's
it's
not
very
only
important.
about the relationships who are close to us, it's about the environment. I mean, wherever you
Absolutely,
go,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
you
So
see toxic people.
yeah, I agree, absolutely, I agree, absolutely. It's where the more programmed, the more conditioned the mind is, the bad, the toxic. So you need to always make sure that you separate yourself among those people. It's not because they are in a great number, so they're right. No, they're not. No, they're absolutely not.
Mhm.
You're alive. You're a single person. You're not in a life. You're a life itself. You're alive. I'm alive. Adam's alive. We have different three lives. We do not go through, I mean, we do not go with the flow. We create the flow. We are the flow. We need to always make sure that we are aware of ourselves. Who am I? That's the very first question where it all starts. Who am I? If people just knew who they are, they wouldn't have been seeking outside ever. They don't know their own worth. They don't know their own value. That's why they look outside for care, for love, for whatever, for bullshit.
I think to
The thing is,
practice this, we need to stick this everywhere in our rooms and washroom that who am I? Because of course
absolutely,
we do forget. We need to remind ourselves with this.
absolutely, 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 always, even in nothing much. Yeah, keep
Yeah.
on going.
No, no, it's so true, isn't it? We have to, like you said, kind of keep that in mind, keep ourselves in check of who we are, and I think where we're at and what it is that we want, and like you said with the ego, and like the flow of life as well, and trying to not kind of lose ourselves in the whole kind of current of it. And I think, like you said, like we are life. We create our own universe and what we want, and
Absolutely.
sometimes people say, oh well, it's not. Sometimes people might project their crap onto the other person and say it's not me, it's you, when it's actually them. But and then
That's
that's a whole
because the
different.
crap is inside there.
Mm.
As I said, whatever is inside is in the outside. As simple as that.
Recently, I just made a video on my TikTok regarding being single. So a couple of guys, they commented that, you know, and I was like that you need to live on your own to discover yourself. The person was like, no, you will feel lonely, you'll be alone forever. But then they forget that there is a difference between being lonely and then loneliness. I mean, for me, I love my company.
You will always and always, no matter you're surrounded by millions and millions, you'll always be lonely and alone if you don't know who you are. Character. I mean, like, there's no character. You need to find your own character. You need to find who you really are. You're not the body. You're not the brain. You're not your name. You're not your position. You're not your nationality. You're not a certain label. Father, mother, girlfriend, boyfriend. That's all bullshit. No. You're more, way much more bigger than that. Once you realize who you really are and what you're worth, you feel ashamed for the past days. But it's fine. But we need to accept it. We need to accept it. We need to look within, not outside. Because outside is only a reflection of what's inside. Again and again, I keep on saying it. Because our life is really inside, not in the outside.
This conversation has given boost to my mind today again.
Yeah,
that's great.
You know, I was falling back or getting out of track, so it's
That's great. That's great. That's great. We all need to make sure that we share knowledge. We speak about the knowledge that we gain, because no matter how much knowledge you gain, and if it stayed inside there, it's useless.
Yeah, definitely.
You need to take it out. You need to know it, because you wouldn't know it if it's kept inside. The mind gonna make drama. Your ego, as I said, ego lives and survives on negativity, on drama. So your mind gonna keep on creating a drama and living it, and therefore you're gonna forget the knowledge that you gain. Well, it's only as simple as, it might sound very complicated, but once you know who you are, once you literally know who you are, everything will fall into place. Literally.
I think that's so true. Yeah, I think that's so true, and I think that's not just in relationship. I think that's like in your work, isn't it? That's in your relationships, and you know, once you know kind of who you are really, or you have a better idea of who you are, then you can kind of start kind of putting those kind of boundaries in place and those kind of standards in place. And in so, you know, like in some sense, you have to do that, don't you? You have to spend time with yourself. And I think if you constantly, you know, like I think lockdown and COVID's been a big wake up call for a lot of people. I think a lot of people had to spend time with themselves. They were forced to look at things. They were forced to look at relationships. They were forced to look at jobs. And that isolation is sometimes, you know, a blessing and a curse in some way. You know, sometimes people. So
that's why we always need to make sure that we heal our wounds, because if we did not heal our wounds, when you are with yourself, me and myself,
after peeling one layer, you will find another layer, and I think it's a long journey. We will keep peeling our layers, and we will heal. We'll keep healing. Even I have listened to lots of, I mean, these kind of coaches and the public speakers who are still, I mean, in their 50s, they're still healing. So I think we need to accept what it is right now and be in the moment. Because when we are in a relationship, we say that we will do this when, you know, we'll get married. So why not enjoy the moment?
Future.
Yeah. So enjoy the moment and don't make plans for the future.
Well, there was no future. There's no future. In
Exactly.
fact, there's no tomorrow.
Usually
I mean, like, we're gonna die.
trapped.
If we got tomorrow, that's extra.
Yeah, exactly. They are trapped in the past or in the future. They're not enjoying the right present moment.
That's because they are not accepting their present moment.
Exactly.
They want another. or else their mind wants a drama. Therefore, we're gonna go to the past. Let's live the scenario again. Oh, this happened, and you keep on trying to change it inside the mind, while it will never be changed. Occupying your mind in the past, or occupying your mind in the future, where future is not even real. It's only an illusion, nothing but an illusion. Nothing but an illusion tomorrow.
Then I'll say that 99% people, 99% of people are living in illusional state.
It's in fact 97%.
I'll say 99.
That's
The real
scary.
number is 97. The
It
real
is,
number is
Adam,
97.
I
It
agree
is
with
very
you.
scary.
It is very.
Of course, it is scary, man. Of course, it is scary, my friend. Can't you see we live in a very dark? I mean, like, it's getting darker and darker, but we are here to shed our light into the darkness. I believe myself as one. I'm a light worker, so I always make sure that I shed light into the darkness.
Yes,
I
you
know
are
the
the
suffering
light.
that the people are suffering. Thank you.
Yeah,
We are all
definitely.
light. We're all light. Once we know who we are,
Exactly.
we'll truly only be light, not darkness. Darkness will die, which is ego. Ego is darkness. We live in the darkness. The darkness have become our comfort zone. We need to get out of that hell. But in order to get out of that hell, we need to accept that we are in hell. Because you'll never get out of hell if you're not able to see the hell. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you have to sometimes go to that place as well, or have those experiences to kind of know what that is as well, to know what it is to be in that place, and to know to push through that as well. And I think a lot of it is a choice, really, isn't it? A lot of people have a choice whether they want to stay in that place, whether they want to use that past experience as
a
fuel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because usually lots of people, they'll stay there. For me as well, sometimes for me it will take 1 to 2 days. That why the hell am I staying there? So I need to come out of that thing.
Of course, it's not easy. Again, we are imperfect species. We need to understand that we are imperfect species. We need to once we realize that we are doing something wrong, we need to be very easy on ourselves. We need to accept ourselves. We need to understand that yesterday I did not have the knowledge that I have today. And I need to appreciate that, and I need to accept that, therefore, to move on.
I think living with your own self is the best thing ever.
Absolutely. It's me and myself.
Myself, my company. I have no expectations.
So the thing is, in order to live with yourself, you need to understand who's self. That's a very tricky question. That's very, who's self? You ask people around, who are you? They'll tell you their name, their position, their nationality, their gender. No, that's not you. No, that's not you.
That's it. And I think we're far more than just like the job that we do, aren't we? Like, I think a lot of people, a lot of people's identity is attached to their work. And a lot of people say, what do you do? And it's like, okay, I do this. Oh, right.
Yes.
And it's like, that's just the title, the job title or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, there's so more beneath all that, the people, we instantly judge sometimes, or we're instantly judged, and we're kind of creating an image of people based on certain things sometimes. And it's like, when you peel that back, there's so many layers behind all that. And then when you see like successful people, they might have started in a certain job or position, but that wasn't defining them. You see people sometimes just see people for who they are now today. And it's like, there's all these other layers to it.
Agree very much. That's because they're unaware of who they are. So absolutely, I would agree with them to take their position as who they are, because no one wants to be unknown. Correct? You'll always be unknown if you don't know who you are. You'll always be suffering if you have not found self. How would you heal self if you don't know who's self? Just literally how?
So what do you think is the self? What do you think?
Well, I'm the light. I'm the soul.
Exactly. You are the light, but then we are living in the community as well. We are like, for me, as I'm Pakistani, you're Egyptian, and he is British. So we are living, we have to go with the flow. We cannot cut, being spiritual and then living in this world is, I think, two different things. You have to go pace by pace.
Agree, but
You cannot ignore these things that we are living. We cannot live alone forever, right? Do you agree?
but
You'll get
no, you
married.
can't. I mean, like, yeah, of course. I mean, like, but the
You'll
thing is,
have kids.
if you live in a certain place that you feel that certain place is limiting you, you're not a tree. You literally can move out. You can
You will,
find
but
that.
even if you are going to the job, Adam goes to work, you go to work, you'll meet a lot of people. You'll get triggered by those people, but then you cannot lose your temper, right? You
You
cannot
will never
change
lose
them.
your
You
temper.
cannot change them until unless they're ready to change, but you can change yourself. But then at the same point, you have to be peace with them that, okay, that's their nature.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
have to
You're gonna come
accept that
into
fact.
you're gonna come into understanding to this. Again, as I have mentioned, once you know who you are, everything gonna come into place. Because once you know who you are, once you get introduced to your own self, you're gonna come into realization that every human being is different than the other.
Exactly.
Literally. Therefore, you're gonna understand. Therefore, you're gonna see it as a positive thing that you're being introduced to different people, different mentality, different human being, literally than your own self. You're gonna learn from him. You're gonna only take the positive things, and the negative things are not yours to take. Another, even the positive things are
But I think I am crossing that thing that
choice.
I have
Literally,
accepted the
everything
fact
in life is about choice.
everybody is different. And now for me, I'd say that I don't get angry that much. Even if the other person is shouting on me, I know that it's his problem. Why do I waste my energy?
Exactly. This is gonna happen when you have a good background psychologically why they really do that. Behind every anger is pain.
Exactly.
So for me, I don't really take it personally. In fact, I feel bad for them, and I prefer to help rather than reacting in a negative way.
I think that's where empathy comes into place as well, isn't it? I think, like you said, you can't. When you think about empathy and when you think about like self, what is self, and when you say, like in work or whatever, you meet people and you can kind of sometimes, like you say, get triggered, or you like when you talk about self, like why are they doing that? I think it's like lenses. If we're wearing certain lenses, we can relate to people because we can see where we once were, if that makes sense. And
Exactly,
it's up to
absolutely.
But then empathy, I think being empathetic is something different. What do you say?
Yeah,
being empathetic is like, you are sacrificing your own self at times. But then being empathetic and self-love, I think they're two. If you love yourself, then you won't be empathetic, right? Because
that's separate.
Yeah, so that's a wide topic.
Yeah, absolutely it is. I'm an empath. You're an empath.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting.
Yes, I mean, the person in order for people to understand the Truman Show. Have you guys watched the Truman Show?
Yes.
I haven't.
It's Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey.
It's a film.
That's literally live. I mean, like, that's literally true. We thought that it's only a movie scenario, or no, it's not. It's true. Jim Carrey is a very awakened soul.
He is, because he went through depression.
I'm sure most of the people, if you realize, they're going through depression. The depression, unfortunately, I'm very sad to say that it will keep on increasing and increasing and increasing. The more it increases, the more it will end, because suffering is necessary until you realize that suffering is unnecessary. Therefore, you need to keep on, because the ego needs to be cracked open in order for the soul to become itself. You'll then realize who you truly are. You may literally experience death.
Yeah, literally definitely, you're right. Yeah.
I've experienced death on my own experience. I've experienced that. In order for my spiritually awakening journey, I literally, it was hell. I mean, it wasn't easy. But yeah, Here we are. It's all for our own good. The suffering that we are in is for our own growth, for our own good. Suffering is necessary, my friend.
And I think when you go through certain things, it does make you stronger. Like, even though you might not know at the time, but you can kind of reflect back. And it's a bit like that kind of forging a sword almost. You know, there's constant hits, and it just makes it like sharper. You know, like when you think of how a sword is made. You know, and the process of that, and those.
You make it sharper. You make your sword sharper.
Yeah.
Either suffering is going to make you a victim, or you learn from it and take it as a blessing.
Yeah.
But you're gonna keep on being a victim. That's because the ego loves it.
But
the ego literally.
You know, when you keep practicing, I think you won't.
Yeah.
Me,
so the thing is,
I mean,
the more
I think
you get
maybe everybody is different in this as well. For me, I think it's been now 3 years. I have practiced a lot. Usually, I used to blame a lot in terms of everything. I was the victim, but now I think I'm very grateful towards my suffering. And I think we talked before as well. I talked before with the Adam that this is my ritual from 2 years. When I wake up, I say thank God for everything which I have been go through.
That's amazing.
And even, but you know, before sleeping as well. No matter it's my health, no matter it's my relationships or whatever kind of suffering it is. And I'm really proud of those sufferings.
You should. I mean, like, those are only nothing but a lesson.
Exactly.
What is suffering? The thing is, what is suffering? What is suffering? There is nothing that really exists called suffering. Suffering is only a mind illusion that the person gets trapped in.
Exactly.
The mind likes its problem just like a dog loves chewing his own bone.
Don't let dog chew the dog. Adam is looking at his dogs.
Yeah. What's going on? No, it's true though, isn't it? I think. Sorry.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I was saying it's true though, because I think, like, you know, being a victim, sometimes people will say, "Oh, I can't do X, Y, Z because this happened to me," or "I am this way because of X, Y, Z."
Yeah.
Agree, man, because your mind is conditioned. That happens when the mind gets conditioned. But when you, again, speaking of, when you know your own worth, when you know who you truly are, you're going to understand that you're limitless. You're literally limitless. And there is nothing called suffering. There is nothing called all this drama the mind creates.
Suffering is a blessing. Take it as a blessing. We can change the meaning. We can change it as a blessing. And it is actually a blessing.
It is. It is. For example,
right now, after this conversation, I feel like that I'm a royal.
Absolutely, we all are.
I know my worth.
Yeah.
Exactly. We are all are. We are literally all are. But the thing is, I feel bad for the people who are not aware of themselves. Therefore, that's why I become Coach Odin. I really want to make people understand who they truly are and their trauma, suffering. I mean, like, it is a suffering. I'm not saying that I was through suffering as well. I had my journey throughout hell. But you then literally learn. You learn that the thing is, you're gonna keep on being stuck in hell until you literally learn the lesson. The lesson gonna keep on being repeated. So the thing is, the lessons were always was only supposed to make you learn, but the thing is, you're not learning. The universe is gonna keep on giving you the lesson again and again and again and again. But the thing is, the mind keeps on playing the victim role over here. You're not supposed to be the victim over here.
Maybe we are not aware of it. Like, if
Absolutely.
I tell myself, I wasn't aware of it, that why these things am I going into again and again? Why these things are repeating? Maybe because you don't accept and you don't know that why these things are happening to you.
There are too many scary things if you literally have thought of, if you start to think of it, if you looked at your life and you started to draw patterns, you're going to find, you're going to find that they're connected.
Exactly.
You're going to find, you'll be like, what the hell? I mean, like, those are the same characters literally, but through coming to me through different bodies, through different things. Then you ask yourself why. You need to ask yourself why. Nothing is coincidence. Nothing, literally nothing. You attract them. You want them. It's what you want. That's why you need to understand who you are. You need to understand your own worth, because you need to understand whatever you need, whatever you want from the universe, you're gonna literally get it. If you want hell, you're gonna get hell. I mean, like, if you're focusing on hell, you're gonna literally get hell. That's the problem. We do not know our own worth, and I do not blame people, because the society have been built in a very weird way, which I wouldn't speak of
I think
today.
if we want to change, the better is to change ourselves and those whom we can reach out, because we cannot go out to change everyone, because I met a lot of people with, I think, a very stubborn ego, literally very stubborn ego, that they don't want to change themselves. And they start arguing because they are not ready to change. Yeah,
I've seen the ego that you're speaking of. They act as they want to change. They act as they want to get out of the pity pot they are in. But they do not want to. They only want attention. It's too much of psychology in the mind that we need to understand. That's why psychology is very important. Mental health is the only important thing. It's very important, because from here we get all the energy throughout. I mean, like, our organs and how we think, and it's very important. It's very important to maintain a healthy mind.
Yeah, and I think with that as well, like, I think people, like, you're talking about, like, people who might be in a victim mentality, or they're not wanting to take responsibility or accountability. Like, a lot of people don't like to look at their own shit, so to speak. They don't want to own it, so then they push it aside, and then they blame it on other things. And I think you have to be accountable. You have to own your own shit, or whatever it is. You both people need to do that if they're in a relationship, and they can't project it on the person or it's XYZ. Otherwise, you're going to still keep repeating those patterns. And I think people just need to be ultimately, as well, like, accountable for where they're at. And I just think it kind of all connects all together, doesn't it? It kind of comes full circle. It's all kind of connected and intertwined. When you think about attachment, relationships, ego, accountability, all these things, people's upbringing, it all connects. It all connects into one. And I think when you think about how complex human beings are, and years ago, we can only keep so many things on our mind, because of, like, you think about hunting, survival, shelter, and it makes you kind of wonder, why people are in their place, because there's so much going on. There's so many different stresses.
I was reading about Marisa Peer. She said that, I don't know how many years back, people used to die because of rejection.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, I would take that. I would literally believe that, because you feel like you're not needed, you're not wanted, therefore you refuse life. You know that your organs can literally start to feel not work, because you're refusing life.
I think that's why it's important as well to be in the right relationship, because I think, on your health as well, if you think about energy and how our bodies work and our system, that, and the stresses, it's
health is really a wealth. You're right. I mean, any kind of, it's physical, mental, or
emotional. Yeah. I've got to wrap this up, guys. I've got 3% battery on my phone, but
let's wrap it up.
I was about to say, I'm tired of sitting. My body is now numb.
But it's I think we've really covered some really important topics today on relationships and people, and I just want to say I'm really grateful.
I'd love to dig more later on. I would love to speak more details. I mean, like, we haven't spoken in details, because it's very wide.
We should have this kind of thing weekly.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. If you want to do a weekly thing, I'm
up to do that as well. And I was telling Odin that come to Dubai, we'll make videos. You too come to Dubai.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
We'll definitely do it. We'll get it arranged. We'll get it sorted and booked in. I'm really grateful to be your guys' friend. I'm really grateful to be able to do this with you. And where can people find you on your social media kind of thing? Where can people get to you guys?
Yeah. All right, that's great, man. Thank you very much, Adam, for really getting us over here and speaking out. It was a literally pleasure with Jia as well. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you guys too as well.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Take care.